Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again on this 12th edition episode of Ora-Ora Live. For those who have followed us last week, you have probably listened to some really heartfelt conversation amongst my colleague Odette and a few young artists. And these artists actually are connected to my guest today because they are all, in a way, students of Mr. Kingsley Ng, who is my guest today. Thank you, Kingsley, for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
No, do you mind telling a bit about your childhood?
Okay, yes, certainly. So, well, first of all, it's my honor to be here, and thank you very much for joining us. And, to also maybe respond to Henry about our earlier episodes. So at the Academy, I think I see mostly even the young artists, they are more like in an apprentice scheme. So we are more like a mentor than this kind of teacher and student relationship. So we see, at least I see them as friends, and we are always here to learn together. So that's the attitude that I embrace, and of course, so back to my own childhood and upbringing. I think my current work a lot is still inspired by a lot of the great teachers that I had.
Okay.
And certainly, of course, through schools. But I think maybe the most important person who affected me the most would be my grandfather. But he did pass away quite when I was quite young.
Was he an artist?
He wasn't so much of an artist, but he, I think, even when we were in as a young boy, like age of 4 or 5, he would be telling us a lot of things like what is the art of living, or using quite a lot of metaphors to tell us like life is like a piece of paper. Very simple things like that. But to a 4 years old, 5 years old, that I guess at that point it didn't really mean that much. But I think thinking back, it has quite affected my long lifetime endeavor as well. So yeah, when I was young. Even in very daily and mundane situations like having family dinner or gathering, grandfather would say, well, this is how the arts of having a meal together. Or when we go to places, when he bring us to places in his car, and he would say, like, this is the art of driving. You have to be aware of everyone's kind of body gestures and how your even your driving style affects everyone who is inside the car.
This is unique. I've never heard of a grandfather speaking like this.
Yeah, so he didn't really elaborate so much what is arts to us, but it's very mysterious, I guess, when we were young, like, what's the art of this and that? So from that on, I was fortunate to be enrolled in a very good high school relating to the arts as well. So that was in Toronto in Canada. So the high school is called A.Y. Jackson. And
okay. I know A.Y. Jackson.
A.Y.
Oh,
Jackson?
yes,
yeah,
yes.
Okay. So A.Y. Jackson, but anyhow, well, as you probably also know, A.Y. Jackson is one of the group of 7 member, so kind of the equivalent of the Impressionists of Canada. So there, it's very interesting that there's this enriched arts program, which not even in only arts, actually. I think it's a very interesting ways of doing education. Is so for students who maybe excels in mathematics or physics, then these students may not need to follow the curriculum of the education board.
Okay.
So is the teachers who would decide what they do, and also it's a very small tight group of students. So for each of the disciplines, maybe around 5 students per year, they are selected to join this enriched program. And what's great about the program is that you're mentored by a number of teachers together with students who are in the senior year. So when I was in the enriched arts program, I had 3 mentor teachers, and so in a class of like 5, and also mentored by other students who is also in this program. So that would be another 10 students per se in the senior year. So we are learning from a lot of peers who is also very excited about art practices, and so I think that was also very transformative when I was in the program, and also at that time, I think as an adolescent, it's you become more reactive to everything, right? As a teenager, as an adolescent. So at that time, I was very much impressed by how the usefulness of art in a way. How
you mean the function of art, or not really?
Yeah, well, of course, like there's great debates of art for art's sake and so on and so forth. But what I was very much inspired by was, among all the subjects at that time, I feel like art is such an interesting method to learn about how to become a human being, and how to have the attentiveness to listen, how to acute our sense of awareness, how to be patient, how to deal with grief and anger, how to really react to what is all around us. So at that time, I thought, well, maybe that could be a lifetime journey and endeavor to essentially to learn about art. So for me, I think since the very beginning, I was not so much interested to be an artist. I've never thought about becoming an artist actually, but it was always in my mind to learn about art.
Interesting. Okay, so how about like your education in the Fresnoy, the National Studio of Contemporary Art in France? I know from you that this was an important part of your education as well.
Absolutely.
What happened there? And
so yeah, Le Fresnoy is a very interesting place. It's called the National Studio of Contemporary Art. So it's more like a studio and residency than than a proper school.
Right.
So a lot of the participants in the program, they are also very already very involved in the arts. Like one of my classmates, his work is collected by the Tate Modern, or another one participated at the Documenta, and those are just
to name a few, not even naming your teachers.
Not even naming the teachers. Yeah. So it's a very I think it's an excellent program, and in dealing with kind of how different media and art forms collide. So there's also a very strong emphasis on arts and technology, and so I spent 2 years there at Le Fresnoy, and one great thing about the program is that you're given a budget to create a piece a year. And it's also quite a substantial budget as well for young artists. So the program provides mentorship and resources and production facilities for young artists to create and inspire one another.
Should we talk about this important piece
Sure.
during your time at Le Fanoy, like musical loom?
Sure.
And because it was, I read about it, and it is supposed to be one of the breakthrough for your career back in 2005. And you transformed this 250-year-old antique weaving machine into an interactive musical instrument. That's all I read. And how did you come about this idea? And
yeah, so that's for this project, like I said, a lot of my practice is quite reactive.
Yeah.
It's a kind of respond to a particular context. So 2004, 2005 in the north of France, particularly in the area of the city of Lille, and also in the different towns around Lille, the metropole of Lille, that was named as the cultural capital of Europe in 2004, together with Genoa in Italy. So for those who may be familiar of the cultural capital, it started quite early on. I think the first cultural capital city was like Athens, and then a lot of the kind of the first tier cities with a lot of cultural assets. They are named for with this title. So it's got a little bit like Olympic. So you have a title, and then you have a series of programs around it. But gradually it became something of a vital revitalization engine for the beta cities or regions. So for a place like Lille, maybe it's not that internationally focused, but regionally it has quite a lot of assets. Like for example, it's the hub of transportations, like from London to Paris to Brussels, and also a lot of Flemish culture there. So this area of Lille, there is quite a lot of potential, but also a lot of issues where it's essentially in a kind of post-industrial era, right? So a lot of factories, they had to close down in the 60s and 70s because that was actually used to be the center of textile in the north of France, like in Manchester in UK. But of course, for the past few decades, a lot of the factories moved to cheaper places for productions, like for example, like mainland China and everywhere else. So the area is also dealing with issue of unemployment and how to deal with these transformations from the industrial age to the currents. So that was kind of the dilemma that has to take place, and the cultural capital is an opportunity for change. But of course, there is also a lot of debates of how a program like that, is it purely for kind of maquillage, just like makeup, or is it
really transformational?
Or is it just tourism, or is there something for the locals and some kind of incubations inside? So that was also one of the attractive points why I wanted to go there during those years, to also look at this kind of mega cultural transformation. How does it really affect to the daily matters, the people there? And so at that time, like you said, there was this musical loom project, but also other projects like this project called La Ville dans la Baguette, which is
city in
cities
the
in the bread. Yeah, it's the long French bread. Working with 40 children of a social center in the peripheries of the town center, and to really ask them what what were the response to the cultural capital, and in the form of drawings, we printed them on the baguette paper.
Okay.
And the
That's very
papers were distributed through the boulangeries, the bakeries, and then it is a circulations of conversations of like actually how can we learn from the children's eyes perspectives on this infrastructures. So back to musical loom. That was also in a way dealing with similar questions as well. And as I was saying, it has such a strong legacy of the textile industry. How do we really look into this part of history and to create something that is very open, so that someone who for example, we have women who weave entire lives and set in the machine and use their familiar gestures, and then tell stories about what she had seen, and then turn that gestures into music. That was also very inspiring for us, but also for the young kids. They may know not so attached to this history, but still they have a kind of new engagement with the machine by producing sound and music. So that openness was what we myself and also. Well, at that time at the Fermat is also like a creative team, right? So we also work with quite a lot of people, like also the Musée du Jacquard. So we acquired the loom from a private museums, and also with quite a lot of technical supports from Le Fermat, and produce this work.
So Ora-Ora Live will continue every week, and we'll try our best, by referrals from all of our friends in the arts, to reach out to more young people, young artists, or young creatives in this regard. We are, if you remember, like at the very onset of this series, we wanted to be here to listen. And I mean, my team and myself, we're very proud that we've done this. We were able to be here. I told you also I can take over all the airtime, but it has been really a journey for me to learn to listen, and not just learning to talk and rebuttal and debate, which is my strength. And so we'll continue Ora-Ora Live next week with a very interesting guest, Catherine from Sutton. And we look forward to seeing you. If you and your friends want to review Kingsley's conversation with me, please go on our social media platforms at Gallery Ora-Ora, or like we will translate and transcribe our conversation into Chinese as well, and it will be placed on our YouTube channel in due course. So we look forward to talking to you and more of your colleagues, Kingsley. See you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.